This video is a response to questions from several friends about the interpretation of Morgan Housel's Same as Ever. Here are our responses for your reference. Question 1. Setting aside this book, what exactly determines the trends in history? Answer: I believe history is the result of multiple factors working together. Some of these factors, due to their strength and distinct tendencies, can be termed as trends. In my understanding, 4 key trends might be the most important. First is the productivity growth driven by technological progress. This is an unstoppable and overarching trend, the most significant force shaping human society since the Industrial Revolution. The year 1820 is often considered the beginning of modernization. Before that, technological advancements like the steam engine, 1712, flying shuttle, 1733, spinning jenny, 1765, steamboat, 1807, and steam locomotive, 1814, had already emerged. However, it was around 1820 when the per capita GDP in the United States began a steady increase due to technological progress, marking the dominance of technology in advancing productivity. In 1820, during the reign of Emperor Daoguang in the Qing dynasty, China had the highest share of global GDP, approximately 1/3. This is why, for many years afterward, China did not fully realize the importance of technology. One reason technology is not easily acknowledged is that even after 1820, different periods saw different technologies and business models driving productivity improvement. In the era of factory machinery, you might think progress was propelled by workers' labor, and the role of technology itself might not be apparent. Even today, some people believe that introducing technology is sufficient, not understanding that the real advantage lies not in the technology itself but in its changing nature, in innovation. Formerly, there was a book called The Dictator's Handbook, stating that to firmly hold power, the first thing one must know is where the money comes from. Without money, nothing works. If you stand on the side of increasing productivity, you are on the correct side of history. Then why do some countries insist on the wrong side of history? Because certain methods, aside from technological progress, can still bring in money for a certain period. For instance, Putin's wealth comes from oil. The dominance of this overarching trend is not maximized at every location and moment. Historian Ian Morris believes that the ultimate drive of humanity is greed and fear. We can say that the growth of productivity is fueled by greed. The second trend is geopolitics, essentially driven by fear. Russia expands because it feels threatened. NATO confronts Russia because it feels threatened. Leaders know what actions benefit economic growth, but sometimes they choose not to act out of fear. We often think that with advanced productivity and prosperity, the sense of fear should decrease. However, history repeatedly tells us not to forget geopolitics. Due to various reasons, sometimes sounding absurd, countries must form alliances against another, and words become meaningless. The third trend is economic cycles. Even if all countries stand on the correct side of history, the economy will not always grow continuously. Or, global economy might keep growing, but there will always be fluctuations within each country. This is because credit has its cycles. During good economic times, everyone makes money, and the best way is not to use your own money to start a company but to borrow and develop. This is a good thing, utilizing idle funds, allowing your business to expand rapidly and earn the next round of money. Prosperity encourages more people to join the borrowing game, resulting in a positive feedback loop of prosperity. However, the positive feedback loop will not continue forever. Prosperity is overestimated, leading to a bubble. At some point, people will realize that the money earned is not enough to repay the loans, and the bubble bursts, confidence drops to zero. No matter what method you use, it is impossible to avoid economic cycles. If you want rapid prosperity, you have to endure cycles. Cycles are not scary, some people go bankrupt, some debts are cleared, and everyone can start anew. However, at the moment of the burst, people strongly question the system itself. The fourth trend is the demand for equality among the common people. The biggest problem with a free market is perhaps not economic cycles but wealth disparity. There is always a mechanism in the market where the winners take all, and some people earn more money than others think they should. People's desire for equality can sometimes suppress growth. Especially now, when everyone can easily express their desires through the internet, this trend may become increasingly important. Under the combined influence of these trends, it is challenging to predict what will happen next. However, you can always see the reasons behind those events. Leaders like those in Singapore seem to understand these trends well. They recognize the overarching trend of modernization, adeptly navigate geopolitics, maintain composure during economic cycles, and provide benefits to the people when there is surplus income. How difficult is it to be a normal country? Question 2. This is the first time I've heard someone say that those who grow slowly possess noble qualities. From childhood to adulthood, everyone wishes their children to grow fast. This is quite difficult to understand. The interpretation did not provide much explanation. I wonder how Arthur Schopenhauer's statement should be understood. Answer: Schopenhauer's original intention is based on two assumptions. First, human nature is innate, and the level of morality is determined by nature. Second, most people in the world have mediocre nature and morality, and we live in a murky world. If a person's nature is noble, he will inevitably clash with the mediocrity of the majority upon entering society. He sees leaders being arrogant and domineering, pointing fingers at others, and yet everyone around him bows and scrapes, sacrificing their integrity. This person would feel astonished. I thought such things only happened in novels, but it turns out they exist in reality. Is there any justice in this? Even if this person's nature has some mediocre and noble elements, he will still experience an adjustment period when entering society. However, this young person not only avoids conflicts but also skips the adjustment period. He quickly masters various social skills. What does this imply? It indicates that he naturally enjoys this way of life. I don't believe a person's nature is unchangeable. I believe in neural network training. However, Schopenhauer's statement still holds some truth. Everyone, to some extent and at some speed, learns social skills to navigate smoothly in society. But learning social skills alone is not enough. You also need to learn arts, sciences, history, philosophy, etc. These training materials cannot be arranged simultaneously. There must be choices. If a young person learns to understand human affairs and is knowledgeable about social skills very early, it may mean that, firstly, he has not learned other things properly, and secondly, more alarmingly, perhaps social skills are the most important skills for him. The environment he lives in requires him to master these skills first. This is a form of premature development, submitting to life too early. This means that the person may not have a lower limit of achievement. He will surely gain popularity in society, but his upper limit will be limited. Because social skills can only take you so far. Knowing what to say to whom, not annoying people, and being able to judge who has the highest status in the room and treat them accordingly in a second, isn't that just a secretary's skill? How much independence does he have? Some people boast about the art of sitting and where to sit when drinking, thinking it's a kind of knowledge, and they take pride in it. Can people like this achieve much? Yes, both Guofan and Steve Jobs adjusted and became knowledgeable about human affairs later in life, but that was later, after they had already experienced youth. That was for a great cause and was down-compatible. If you want to train young people to have a high upper limit, they cannot be trained only by the people around them but must also be trained by distant figures, historical figures, by art, by abstract concepts from books. Such a person will be clumsy when entering society, seemingly lacking survival skills, but he will have high aspirations and a broad perspective, possibly achieving great success in the future. In short, if you have a daughter, you would hope to teach her poetry, music, knowledge, and make her a well-rounded lady, instead of focusing on teaching her how not to be deceived when buying vegetables all day long. Please note that learning history does not particularly help in daily interactions with people. Learning history is for interacting with significant figures. Learning history enhances your overall perspective, ensuring you won't be frightened during major events, but it might not be useful in daily trivial matters. Yesterday, I read stories about significant historical figures all night, and this morning I have to meet the village chief. I must be cautious, not displaying the temperament he doesn't want to see. Setting training aside, young people must have some rebellious spirit. Being young means being spirited and idealistic. I disagree with my son's disdain for ChatGPT and OpenAI, but I appreciate his attitude of not following the trend. What I dislike the most is secularizing young people under the guise of teaching them to adapt to society. German poet Heinrich Heine has 2 lines of poetry that speak well of this. Your advice is indeed correct, if not for our young blood, it would surely be accepted. Question 3, regarding genius children, is the same principle applicable to the description of animals and plants in the video? Answer. The differences between people are likely much greater than those between animals and plants. Indeed, some prodigious children exist, capable of learning profound knowledge at a very young age. How can we judge if this is a case of rushing the growth? The key lies in whether they enjoy learning, whether they are forced to learn, or if they have a genuine desire to learn. In some schools, when they notice certain children are exceptionally bright and regular classes don't challenge them, they create special classes to expose these children to more advanced topics or let them participate in math competitions, for example. This is initially a good thing. However, some parents see these gifted programs as an honor and want their children to join, believing that their child might also be a prodigy. The school, seeing too many applicants, then opts for admission exams. Parents, faced with exams, start pressuring their children to prepare for them. Indeed, ordinary children may still manage to get into the gifted program, but what's the point? Others achieve this effortlessly, and you achieve it through hard work. While some students learn happily, your child learns painfully. Others learn because they want to, your child learns because they are made to. Not only does this do a disservice to the gifted program but also to your child. The child may develop an aversion to learning. Perhaps, originally, they were a hidden prodigy, and their interests are now entirely extinguished. We discussed a German study in a previous discussion, suggesting that children in kindergarten should focus on playing and learning how to interact with others. Some kindergartens, however, decide to introduce academic subjects prematurely. Subsequent research showed that those children who learned academic subjects early did, indeed, have an advantage in grades by the 1st grade. Still, that advantage quickly disappeared. By the 4th grade, the performance of the early learners not only failed to excel but significantly lagged behind the children from ordinary kindergartens. This is a classic example of forcing growth. Initiative, curiosity, and interest are the most valuable qualities. If a learning project satisfies curiosity, don't hinder your child from learning. If a project stifles curiosity, you better not let your child learn it. Some famous scientists graduated from gifted programs. However, true prodigies in gifted programs are rare. Many renowned scientists didn't graduate from such programs. They played joyfully as children, started focusing in high school or even university. You can rest assured that, by that time, their efforts were backed by the most abundant vitality.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.